When humans first entered the galaxy, we always admired their many traits, such as their adrenaline, a chemical so valuable that every single warrior wanted to get their hands on it. However, what has always perplexed me was why most humans were so unwarrior-like from their previous ancestors. Surely the humans do have a strong military presence, and really that was what most people focus on. However, when I observed human civilians for the first time, many were concentrated on material gain, sexual gain, and, of course, political gain. As I looked deeper, I saw many artists, writers, workers, traders, and a whole system that revolves around entertainment of some sort. When I shared the info, I found that most of the things that humans liked had little to no appeal to us, with the exceptions being some jokes, the desire for family, not the ones who were failing as a family, and acts of kindness to those who were not doing too well. We quickly concluded that something was driving these humans to seek these other mediums of strange entertainment, and had a desire to know why. We had been searching for the answer for 3 years, and finally we found our answer: dopamine. This strange chemical was naturally released in their brains whenever they did something to activate it. We concluded that it was developed as a countermeasure to how painful the birthing process was for the female, as the method of giving birth is extremely painful. We looked back on their history and found that dopamine was in a lot of things they did. To go even further in our research, we decided to do something that was the worst mistake in our lives. We decided to harvest the chemical from the humans and injected ourselves with the chemical. What we were expecting was an initial high. Instead, we experienced pain like nothing before. The researchers that did not take the chemical took us to the medical bay to see what was happening. Turns out dopamine did more than give pleasure. It physically changed our minds to better suit the drug. The pain lasted about a year. In order for us to not commit suicide, we were strapped to our beds, unable to move for the first month. For the next few, we were barely able to work. Then the finale few months we were able to work, but at a very slow pace. The year had finally ended and we were tired, so I wanted to take a few naps. Then I was hungry, so I went to the fridge to eat. As soon as I tasted the food, I felt human pleasure for the first time. The food had taste that I could not name before, and it made me want to savor every bite. When finished, I wanted to see how my friends would react. Some of them wanted more and more, eating faster and faster. Another thing I noticed was that our very vision changed. Before we were colorblind, but now we could see all the different colors in the seeable spectrum. We noticed other things too, such as our work becoming boring for the first time. Before we could do paperwork for hours on end, but now we find that the things we were writing were just bland. Usually we could do it for an hour before subconsciously deciding to take a break. A few months after that, we decided to go out and see what else our minds would find enjoyable. Before, I would never suggest going out to town for fun, but with every single thing we found, it gave us more pleasure. Then we found music for the first time. Before we found it to be noise, now we found it to be the very personification of human emotion, as the many different experiences resonated with our dopamine minds, so much so that we realized why humans procrastinated a lot. We fell behind on our work, and we had to do the rest of it 2 nights before the deadline, and for the first time we experienced mental pain for the next couple of days. The Council of Science found our experiences concerning, and ultimately they discontinued the research due to the tremendous pain that was caused a year before. We agreed, but we could not help but feel a little empty and sad. We had wanted to push the research further to see what other benefits could be found, but we could easily see why the council discontinued this research, as the pain aspect could be too much to handle. Alethea took it the worst. She had been the most enthusiastic one after receiving the dopamine injection and had actually worked the hardest on this experiment. She had worked with the hopes to finally understand humans and their many complexities. Now, as she looked at her work, she would always cry. So much of her life wasted when she could have been spending it to understand her newfound self. Nowadays she spends time in the bar, constantly drinking, asking herself over and over again, why? Pretty soon the rest of us felt empty as well. Argonite tried to fill his emptiness with music, slowly and surely losing himself. Bodaka tried to fill his empty heart by playing role-playing games developed by humans and fell into a fantasy world of escapism. Finally, my mate, Mildas, began to question the entirety of the situation, and when she could not find an answer, she began to stress eat. I tried to console them, tried to break them of their bad habits, only to find that every day I failed to do so, and slowly they began to turn to bitterness and isolation. It was clear that if I wanted to save my friends, I would need the help of professionals. So I called the human ambassador and told him my situation. A few days after, humans came over and persuaded my friends to come with them. One of the humans got punched in the face. Now we are off to the humans' homeworld to see a few psychiatrists. Hopefully, me and my friends can cure this emptiness. Sure, things will no longer be normal, but we had more human-like minds now, so maybe we can adapt to a new normal.